Thank you all for joining us today. We're here today to share the conclusion of an investigation that stemmed from an incident that happened at Tanner's Big Orange that occurred on June the 8th. There's been a tremendous public interest in this case and many feelings shared about the case. But as investigators, we are fact finders, and we have to follow the evidence and base our decisions on the law. The expectation of the police department is that we will do a thorough investigation and make proper charges, and that's what we have done in this case. There is no evidence that supports a charge for the driver of the vehicle that turned into Tanner's on June the 8th. There were clear violations of the law that were found throughout this investigation that have led to 2 individuals being charged with malicious damage to property over $2,000. I'm joined today by 2 people that led the investigation, Captain Greg Smith, Captain of Investigations, and Lieutenant Tim Conroy. And I'm going to pass it over to Captain Smith now, and then to Lieutenant Tim Conroy.
Good afternoon. My name is Captain Smith, or Captain Greg Smith, with the Greenville Police Department Investigations Division. As the chief said, this case was thoroughly investigated by Lieutenant Conroy and my staff. At this time, as the chief said, we do not have charges on the driver of the vehicle. We also looked into a different set of circumstances. We received calls to look into reckless endangerment in the city's hate crime statute or hate crime ordinance. At this point, we can't find any evidence that would support the initial charge for reckless endangerment on the driver. Therefore, we can't use the hate crime ordinance. And Lieutenant Conroy will go through the facts for you.
Good afternoon. As the chief and the captain stated, we have thoroughly investigated this case. The investigation was done through many social media posts, videos that were taken, captured at the scene, as well as other surveillance cameras. We talked to everybody that gave statements out there that day and stated they were injured or struck by the vehicle. We reached out to numerous people trying to get different video, different statements, and we had a couple people come forward that said they were hit by the vehicle. During our investigation, several laws were looked at, and it was determined that there would be no charges against the driver of that vehicle. And one of the laws we looked at was the Protection of Persons and Property Act. And just briefly, it states, it is the intent of the General Assembly to codify the common law castle doctrine, which recognizes that a person's home is his castle, and to extend the doctrine to include an occupied vehicle in the person's place of business. It further goes on to say, the General Assembly finds that it is proper for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves, their families, and others from intruders and attackers without fear of prosecution or civil action, and acting in defense of themselves and others. The General Assembly finds that persons residing in or visiting the state have the right to expect to remain unmolested and safe within their homes, businesses, and vehicles. The General Assembly finds that no person or victim of a crime should be required to surrender his property, safety, his personal safety to a criminal, nor should a person or victim be required to needlessly retreat in the face of intrusion or attack. There is no evidence to suggest that this vehicle was driven into the Tanner's parking lot in a reckless manner with the intent to harm anybody in that parking lot.